Broadcasting from Watts Creative Studios and live on Grove Street FM, you're listening to Talk Local to Me, brought to you by the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Local to Me. We are back again this week and talking with, I've got a couple, I feel like I always have like a million people in the studio, Woody. And
it's always a packed house. It's fun.
It is. And that's good. It'd be sad if I was just here by myself twiddling my thumbs trying to think of something to talk about for an hour.
It'd be a long hour, but it'd still be fun.
Although I could do it. I could talk for an hour. But no, we're here today and we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. We're going to be talking about an upcoming Christmas market. We're going to be talking with United Methodist Family Services about all that they do for the community and how you can support them through the holiday season. And I'm going to be talking about just all kinds of upcoming things to do in and around Central Virginia starting this weekend, because I feel like right now is go time. Like for Christmas, it starts like tomorrow. Now, I'm one of those like hardcore people. I don't start Christmas until after Thanksgiving. So my house still looks very bare right now. And we got in the car this morning and my daughter was like, can you turn it to Q99 yet and listen to music? And I was like, nope, you got one more day. And so she's so sad because I won't let her listen to it. But starting tomorrow, it's on all things Christmas. Right after the turkey comes out the oven, we're gonna be ready to go. But I wanted to just let anyone listening know, y'all have heard me talking for the last couple of weeks about Small Business Saturday. That is coming up this Saturday, and it's a super important day to a lot of local small businesses. Again, you don't have to just shop local on that day, though, folks. Like that's one thing I try and really push. It's great to have a day, but shop local all day, every day, if you can. I know there are some things you have to go to the box stores and get, and that's okay. I'm not standing out front of them taking your picture and letting people know who's not shopping local, but we really want to support the businesses. And right now, these are the businesses that they don't have stuff hanging out, in the middle of the ocean waiting for it to get shipped. It's here. I actually am excited because Woody, I have some stuff in the other room I think I bought from your wife.
You did. It's out there on the countertop, excited. Right?
Yeah. So we have this thing we're doing for Christmas, kind of like a dirty Santa, but it has to be something local or edible that we give out. So you're not just getting a gift card or something that you're stuck with. Like one year I got a plunger and I'm like, why? And I was like, and first of all, when did plungers start to be $20? Because that's the minimum.
It is
but
I'm just saying. Object.
Well, it is, but that's not what I wanted for Christmas. So, I got some of your candles from your wife because I'm going to use that for one of my dirty Santa gifts. It's going to be fabulous. So shop local. There are tons of things to do. And we have, I'm going to name a couple of them. I know that the Peaksview Holiday Market is going on in Lynchburg from 10 to 3, I believe, right at the Timberlake Pharmacy. They're going to have vendors set up there. There is holiday. Is it handmade? Is that where y'all are at, Woody? At the Academy of the Arts?
This specific, I believe it is the handmade market, makers market. Yes.
Okay.
At Academy Center in
Lynchburg?
Yeah, Saturday morning. Well, I'm trying to think what time it starts. 9?
I think it's at 9.
Yeah.
So we're doing a great job here for that one.
I need to Google that. I should be more aware.
I do know that Christmas at the Ridge is opening back up this year in the mall, and that's opening on Small Business Saturday, and it runs all the way through Christmas. And we helped out with that last year, getting that up and running. And I'm going to tell you that is probably still one of the things I am most proud of that I have done was last year when we had all these artisans and crafters who had nowhere to go, no festivals were happening. And we partnered with Janae at Something Else Boutique to start that store in the mall. And she has continued that again this year. And I know she's going to have some fabulous vendors there. All of them are local. All of them are artisan crafters. They have to have made their stuff. So check them out. Check out the mall in general. There's tons of local small businesses there now. A lot of people think, oh, it's the mall, and it's probably full of big box stores. Well, there are still some, but there are a ton of small local businesses in the mall now. Something Else Boutique being one of them, a Pack by Jacka. We have like Blue Mountain Barn. There's a lot. Pop Up Simply Vanilla Cheesecake, which you've got to have a cheesecake. And so, go there and get it. But that's just a couple of places you can go. And we're going to talk with one other in just a minute, which I'm probably the most excited about because I think it's unique and I think it's definitely somewhere you're going to want to be on Saturday. And don't forget, we're still hosting our giveaway for Small Business Saturday. So if you shop locally between now and Saturday at 3 p.m., you can tag us on Facebook with like a picture, a copy of your receipt, hashtag CVABC shop local, and you get entered into a drawing. We're giving away a $250 gift certificate to the small business of your choice. And you can choose to do one lump sum to one business, or you can split that up in $50 increments to, a couple of local businesses, however you want to do it. But it has to be local. And then we also have a huge stocking full of different things that people have donated to us. So we'll have 2 giveaways. Someone will win the stocking, someone will win the gift card, and someone will be happy because that's pretty cool. So you have until 3 p.m. We're going to do the drawing live on Small Business Saturday. But you can get those into us still by doing the hashtag, or you can email me a copy of the receipt at heather@cvabc.org. And I'm probably forgetting something else from there, but I will mention really quickly, Christmas parades are coming up next weekend. That's where my brain is at. The Central Virginia Business Coalition, we do coordinate both Lynchburg and Bedford's parades all on the same weekend. And so Saturday we are here in Bedford. Parade kicks off at 11 a.m. It goes through the streets of downtown Bedford. We have some great participation this year. I'm really excited about it. Last year we had to do the drive-through parade. It was a little different, but we're back to a traditional parade this year. And we think if you're in Bedford next Saturday, you need to stay in Bedford all day. There's so much to do. Like if you come for the parade at 11, or actually if you're a runner or a walker or a saunterer, or however you do your thing, there is also the 5K in the morning that the YMCA puts on. So you can come and run that if you're feeling, if you feel like you want to get up that early and do that. But then there's also the parade at 11. And then after the parade, go visit the Bedford Welcome Center where the Festival of Trees has just kicked off this week and see all the great trees that are there. You can donate money to each tree. They all go to a very good cause. And then come back into town because you can shop locally while you're down there. All the stores will be open, restaurants, eat somewhere here in town. And then at 3, we kind of kick off the Christmas tree lighting event with John Hayden. So we'll have carriage rides throughout town. There'll be vendors. And then we light the Christmas tree at 6. So you'll see the beautiful tree get lit up. And then you can still go to the Elks Home and see the lights, and Liberty Lake Park and see the lights, and then go home and go to sleep because you'll have had a very busy day. But that's what I suggest you do for the whole day. I've planned all of your days for you. So you have no excuse on Saturday to not do anything because I just told you everything you need to do. And then Sunday, the Lynchburg Parade kicks off at 4. It's an evening parade. And it starts at the Bank of the James Stadium where the Hillcats play. And then it comes up through Memorial Avenue down to EC Glass High School. So, and we have a ton of floats for that parade this year. So I'm really excited about that too. So yeah, if you say you have nothing to do, I'm going to say that you aren't listening to me because I'm telling you there's tons of stuff to do. Excuse me. But with that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about one thing you can do this coming Saturday to help promote local. And when I talk about local, I'm not even just talking about a local store, artisan craft. I'm talking about local entrepreneurs. And I'm talking about small local entrepreneurs, which is what I'm so excited about. It makes me happy. So I have Sarah and her daughter Anna here with me, and they run the All Good Things Christmas Market. How are you?
We're good. Thanks for having us.
I'm really excited to have you here. Now, is this your second year hosting this, or have you done it for a couple years?
This is our third.
Third
This
year.
is our third year. Yes.
So in the 3 years, how has it grown?
Exponentially. It actually started probably 5 years ago with myself and the 3 kids at the end of the driveway selling pumpkins and handmade items. So that was super tiny. And then it just grew and grew and grew from there. Last year, I think we estimated probably over 2,000 people came to visit, and we had to limit the vendors a little bit because of the pandemic, but we probably had 30 vendors last year. And the year before, we probably had 25 to 30 vendors and probably close to 1,000 shoppers.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so all of the participants are young. They're youth. They're children that have created their own things.
Yep, they are. And part of the reason we chose to have it on this Saturday is, like you were saying, it's Small Business Saturday. And these are small business owners. They're super small in more ways than one. They're tiny in size, and their little businesses are just blooming. And it's just come from their imaginations of what they make.
What is the youngest? Do you know, like, maybe the youngest age of maker you have?
Probably one little girl started when she was probably 4 or 5. Like, she just would thread beaded ornaments. Probably around 4.
Okay, that's amazing. Now, you host this at your family at your barn. So where is that located?
We are located at 2001 Kelso Mill Road, which is the north side of Bedford, the town of Bedford. Like, if you're headed up towards the peaks, right off of 43. About 10 minutes out of town.
Now, y'all also are going to have Santa's going to be there.
Santa's going to be there from 10 to 2.
Okay. So, so you bring your kids and then shop from kids, because I think that's super important. Now, I know I have been kind of looking at your Facebook page. So they do have a Facebook page. So you can go on there and kind of see the listing of the different items.
Yes.
Y'all have everything from... so some of this stuff, I cannot believe that there are kids making this stuff. It looks so professional. So you have like woodworking and, jewelry. What kind of other items do you guys have?
Oh, it's just like you said. There are so many things. We've got dog treats, hand sewn items, hand painted ornaments that are precious, baked goods. Anna makes hard candy and bracelets, gnomes, just all kinds of stuff. I'm just totally forgetting half of it, but
oh my goodness,
it's like jellies and barbecue sauce and all kinds of stuff.
I don't know what this is. This pecan looking cake from the Cake Kid.
That looks delicious. I want that now.
I'm gonna have to. Yes, I'm gonna can I put a sold sign on that right now? Just call her.
Yeah,
that looks delicious. Now another thing I'm excited about is y'all have food trucks that are gonna be there.
Yes, we're super excited to have food there.
Y'all are gonna have what? Upper Crust, and then I saw Fisher's.
Yes, but Fisher's is gonna have their food truck. We're so thankful to have Donnie and Lisa coming. We've got Upper Crust. We've got, if you've ever been to the Backyard in Forest.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever noticed, there's a trailer there called Chill Out.
Yes.
And in the summertime they do snow cones, but she's gonna be doing, it's Allison Aldridge is gonna be having cotton candy and caramel apples. So I'm looking forward to that.
Apples.
And then we also have a family, which this is part of the kids. Their dad is a big barbecue smoker. So they help him, and they are probably busy as we speak. And tomorrow, I bet, cooking, smoking a lot of barbecue. So they're going to be selling barbecue, and they're on mission. That's going to go back into missions at their church.
Okay. So Anna, I'm going to ask you a couple questions now that you're in here with me. Now, what is it? I know your mom mentioned. What are a couple of the things that you make?
I make rock candy and bracelets.
Now, how old are you?
I'm 11.
Okay. So how long does it take you to start preparing for today? When do you start making all your stuff?
Probably like,
In the summer.
summertime.
Yeah, summertime?
August,
Yeah.
July and August.
Okay.
Probably.
And you've been doing this since y'all started doing the market?
At the driveway.
At the driveway. That is so cool. Now, so when people are, does it mean, like, when people are coming and buying from you, does that like make you feel really good? I mean, just to kind of be given back to the community?
Yes, it makes me very happy.
Yeah. And now, how long does it take you to make some of your stuff? Like the hard candy, how long does that take?
Well, it takes a long time. You have to be very patient. So like 30 minutes.
Okay, I couldn't do that. I'm not patient. but that's, now, do you have different flavors of the candy?
Yes, I have lots of flavors.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm going to come get some. I'm going to get some hard candy. And what kind of jewelry? So you said the beaded bracelets?
Yes, like I have some that have little charms and different color beads.
Okay. Very neat. Now, if let's say, so you're a young entrepreneur, you're starting your own little business here. If you were, and if there were other kids listening, what would you tell them? Would you tell them that it's, a fun thing to do? Does it, let us Tell us a little bit.
It's a good experience because you can learn and try new things.
I love that. And I love that you use the word experience because I think for young kids these days, they need that experience moving into, the world now and, opening up their businesses, and small businesses are blooming everywhere. But I love that y'all have this opportunity to showcase to kids how they can do it.
Yeah.
How many do y'all have this year?
Close to 50 vendors.
50 vendors. Now, what did y'all start with? Like when y'all started actually doing the full market?
I think we had about between 25 and 30. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so excited to come out and what are the hours on Saturday?
So it's from 9 to 3.
9 to 3. Okay, so if you're listening, you need to come out 9 to 3 and you need to visit with these local and purchase stuff, but talk to them, learn more about what they're doing. How maybe is this something you could look at doing, or you see maybe growing to where it's maybe twice a year, maybe like a spring slash.
I've had some people ask me that, even, could you do this for adults? They want to set up in the barn because they just love the atmosphere, but definitely is something we have thought about and we may consider.
I would love to have, so I run the Bedford Lake Centerfest Festival. I think it would be so cool to have a kids maker section
of
younger kids just in like a certain area where we did a kids maker.
Yeah,
so
I would love that.
We need to chat about that because we could definitely set that up, and I think that would be a super fun section to add to Centerfest this coming year.
Yeah.
Don't get me. I'll start on something and I'll snowball it real quick. We'll be ready to go by tomorrow. So this coming Saturday from 9 to 3. Tell us again the address.
So the address is 2001 Kelso Mill Road, and that's in Bedford. And just kind of keep in mind that GPS sometimes will try to send you down Solar Ridge Road, which is right before you get to the farm. And so we're actually on Kelso Mill. You don't turn on Solar Ridge. You stay straight on Kelso Mill until you see our signs and the big red barn. And I did want to add one quick thing.
Yeah.
Our primary focus is with the kids and giving them the opportunity to see what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and also just help them to build confidence in creating what they love, and also to interact with people. Sometimes we get so stuck in our phones, we don't, we learn those people skills. So this is a really good opportunity for them to do that. I love watching them interact with the customers. But what I wanted to mention was we partner with Food for Kids, which is a local nonprofit here in Bedford. They serve, I think it's 5 schools now. It's Montvale, Goodview, Huddleston. I know I'm going to forget one. Stanton River Middle, and I'm forgetting one. But anyway, what they do is they package sacks of clothes, food to go home with students that need it for the weekend. So, a lot of kids, they qualify for reduced or free meals at school, but over the weekends, they may or may not have food to eat. And this is a really good nonprofit that does a great thing. And so we are taking up, I've encouraged all of my vendors, all the kids, to not only just make money for their piggy banks or their causes, but to kind of dig deep in the heart and figure out what percentage that they could give back maybe to Food for Kids. And then we do take donations for them instead of taking an admission fee or anything like that. We'd just rather give it to Food for Kids, and we've got a list of foods that they are accepting as well on our Facebook page.
Okay. Well, and I also saw that y'all have the reusable shopping bags people can purchase when they get there.
Yes. So we have some of those. They're super nice and cute, and they are $5. And so that gets you the bag, but it also gets you a chance to win a really cute gnome that my daughter makes. He's sitting in his own little wicker chair. So a lot of times, I know when I go to a market, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't carry all 10 bags. Mm-hmm. And these are really nice because you can just throw everything in it and put it on your shoulder.
And it's going to a good cause.
It's going to a good cause.
So, and there's about I think you said 50 of them. So get there early. Yeah. Get your bag. And shop early, because if you don't get there early and shop, then all the good stuff might be gone. And you got to get there, and then you can eat and, then go on about your day and continue to shop. But definitely encouraging people listening, if you haven't heard about this market, check them out on Facebook. It's All Good Things Christmas Market. and you can kind of scroll through and see the different vendors that they have. You can see they have a map of the barn there, so you'll know where the different vendors are located. You can figure out what you want to eat that day. Again, don't look at that cake because that's mine, friends. Nobody's getting that cake. I'm going to come by and pick that up myself because it looks fabulous. But thank you for coming on with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to work with y'all more and learn more and, do what we can to help the young entrepreneurs. I've always wanted to kind of even start like a young entrepreneur academy. See, look, again, here I am. I'll just, next week we'll be enrolling. No, just So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
And everyone, again, and I'm just going to put the plug out there, make sure you're supporting local vendors this season. Because even coming out of 2020 and COVID, and we're not through it yet. By no means am I saying we're done, but we're starting to see a little bit more regrowth and things happening and people getting out. But that last year was a big hit to local businesses, and some were able to thrive, some were able to do the online, some of them weren't. And I always get sad when I see a local business having to shut down because they're not able to have their doors open, or they weren't able to provide the things that they needed. And, I just think that the more we're out there, and again, it gives back to your economy. So when you're complaining about infrastructure, when you're complaining about roads, when you're complaining about the things that your tax dollars are going to, think about where your money went. And that's just important. So again, now I'm off my soapbox and I'm not going to talk about that no more. So I also have with me today Katie and Holly from United Methodist Family Services. And the other piece to this upcoming week is Giving Back Tuesday, which is on Tuesday. And so, and I preface that with saying, you don't have to just do this on Tuesday. You can give back at any time to your local nonprofits. We have a lot of wonderful nonprofits in our area. You just heard of one that Sarah was talking about, but United Methodist Family Services is another. And they are an organization that we're supporting this holiday season. We're doing a giving tree at our office where we're taking in items that they need for their foster children or for the foster parents to be able to get some of the things that they need. And then we're also, if you're out there listening and you've been thinking, maybe we should become a member of the Central Virginia Business Coalition. So yes, you should. Always. Like that's, I just say that. But also if you do so between now and December 10th, you can feel good about the fact that you're joining an organization that's going to help to promote your business, but you're going to be giving back to an organization as well in our community, because we're giving $10 for every new membership to United Methodist Family Services so that they can take that money and go purchase anything that they still may need before Christmas comes around. So I'm so excited about that. So hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
I am... when I think about all the different nonprofits in our area, one of the things that sticks out with me with United Methodist Family Services is how you give back to, of course, foster children. And as I was telling y'all before, I used to work in youth and family services in Bedford County many years ago, but that was probably one of the hardest jobs I have ever had. I worked there for 8 years, and by the end of the 8th year, I didn't really leave because I necessarily wanted to, but even my husband was just like, I was getting worn out, and like coming home and like you hear all the different stories about the kids in foster care, and you hear all these things, and it was starting to just weigh on me because I think that it's such a, there's such a need for foster parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Like when we were talking about, okay, who are we? Because we try and do like a different organization every year that we support around this time. And I was like, oh, I really want to do UMFS. So start off, tell us a little bit about, for those who are listening that may not know who you guys are and what your mission is. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So we are UMFS, also known as United Methodist Family Services. We have been in existence for now 121 years. So very long time, especially for a nonprofit. We opened a Lynchburg office in 2014. and we consider ourselves, champions for children and families. It is our goal for kids to have a place to live, a permanent place to live, whether that's in their birth home or with a foster family. And you mentioned the time. I've been doing this for 19 years, so it definitely, it's tough, but every day there's some reason that you see some story that just keeps you moving and putting your foot in front of the other. And you see it this time of the year, but you see it every day with some success. So it just makes you want to do that much more.
Mm-hmm. Katie heard me tell this story yesterday, and I'll just say it again. So I was always coming home to my husband, like, we need to take this kid in. Like, I want this kid. Like, can we it's almost like you go to the humane, like, I want this little puppy. I wanted these kids that came in because I would just be so sad. But there was one in general that he just broke my heart, because I used to have pictures of my kids around my computer screen of them playing like soccer and softball and dance and all this good stuff. And he would come in a couple of times a week, and he finally, one time, he asked me about them, and he was like, "Are those your kids?" And I said, "Yeah, they're my kids." And I said, "Do you play soccer?" And he looked at me, and it was so sad. He was just like, "No." He's like, "I'm a foster kid. I don't do that." And I was just like, it hurt me so deep to my very core. I was like, I went straight home, and I was like, I want this kid. He's going to play soccer next week. I want this kid. And, at the time, of course, we were raising 3 young, we couldn't do it. But, I think y'all probably see that more often than not.
Yes. There's always been, and you see it a little less, but the stigma of foster child versus quote unquote regular child. And I hate that word. But the thing that we always try to help people know, especially potential parents or people who are interested in fostering, is they're just kids. They're just kids like your kid, my kid, and any other kid in school or in the community. And they just need someone to be that person that always has their back. No matter what, they show up. And most of our kids come to us and don't have that. And when just one person who, no matter what, they can go to and shows up, turns their life around.
And I guess probably this time of year, it's one of the harder times of the year, especially for children in foster care. Do you see right now, is there kind of a really big need still for foster parents?
Oh, yeah, there is a huge need for foster parents. I mean, we can only accept as many kids into our program as we have homes available. So if we don't have homes available, those kids aren't able to be placed with us. And we want to keep kids local. Lynchburg has a big need. Bedford has a big need. And if we don't have homes in these areas, then these kids have to go outside of this area. And that's, we want to keep them as close as possible.
You were talking about the stigma of foster child versus regular. And I think that a lot of people, when they hear the word foster child, they think, oh, this is a bad kid. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
No.
Most of the time, it's not the case. So what are some of the reasons that you see children coming into foster care? What are some of those things that people can hear and go, oh, this is why, not necessarily
Kids come into care for all kinds of reasons. And the thing, too, is, none of them are bad kids. They've had really bad things happen to them. They come into care for a lot of times it's neglect. Just their parent was, for whatever reason, not able to meet their needs, whether it was physical, emotional, medical. Or drugs is huge. There's a lot of substance issues in the area. So there's a lot of time where kids have to come in because their parent is having a substance abuse issue. It's rarely, a lot of times it's easy to see a birth family as a monster who hurt a child. And someone taught me years early in my career that no parent brings a child into the world to abuse them. Mm-hmm. There's always a reason and some lack of understanding or ability to take care of that child. So, but most of the time it's just, neglect, or grandparents often are trying to take care of a child and just don't have the financial or physical means to be able to do that. And they end up coming into our system, which is really unfortunate.
Now, y'all have different types of foster parents. So you have foster parenting, you have the foster to adopt, and treatment. But tell us about the some of the different types of foster parenting people can be a part of.
Yeah, so we have 3 different types of families. Our first is our foster to adopt, and those are the families that are coming in really wanting to adopt. So when they get a placement, if the child, their permanent goal is adoption, then that child is in their home for 6 months to a year before they're able to be adopted. Then we have our resource families, which is our traditional foster parents, and that's our therapeutic foster care program. So there are parents who are fostering, and that program at TFC, Therapeutic Foster Care, is really about creating a structured, safe, nurturing, therapeutic environment for kids who have gone through really hard things. And our last family is our respite families. And those are families who are able to give relief to our foster families. If there's emergency that happens and a kid needs a safe place to go, they can do that like over a weekend or for a short period of time.
Okay. So yeah, I always heard a lot about like respite when I was working at the, youth and family service. And at first I was like, what is that? It took me a while to realize it's kind of like not really vacation, but it's like they go to stay with another family if their foster parents maybe need to go somewhere on like a work trip, or maybe even if they're sick, I would assume, and can't take care of the kid that they have at that point in time. So someone can be a respite foster parent without being a full-time foster parent.
And I always a lot of parents come in there like a little bit nervous about becoming foster parents, especially if they haven't been parents before themselves. And I always say try respite. It's a great way to start working with kids, get involved, get some experience, see what the program is like, and then you can kind of transition into more of a full-time role later.
Okay.
And when we train and certify, we certify for all three. So when you come to us and you get trained and approved, you can be approved for all three. It doesn't mean you have to do all three. You can foster and then decide you're going to adopt if things work out and you just really have a good match in your home. Or you can be an approved foster or resource parent and just say, right now at this time in my life for this period, I just want to do respite. And that is totally okay. And then you can move back and forth based on what your individual circumstances.
So if you're looking to become a foster parent, y'all do the training. So it's not something that you have to have a background in. But what are some of the things, like if I were sitting here today going, okay, I think I want to do this. What are some things like I should be asking myself first? Like what should I be thinking, like if I want to become a foster parent? What are some of those things you encourage people to kind of look at before they jump into it?
The first thing, and Katie does this way more than me now, but the first thing I always say is, do you have room in your home and your heart? That's, it. A lot of times families will rule themselves out because they think, oh, I'm not married, or I don't own my house, or I don't make a ton of money. And none of those things will exclude you. So it's looking at, do I have the time and the love and the patience to give to this child? And then, do I have room in my home, because our kids, they need a bed and a bedroom and their own space. And then just as far as financially, you just have to show that you can pay your own bills. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a stay-at-home parent. You can be a completely normal family and add a child to your home.
Okay.
And I always also ask families to just consider their support systems. They have good friends, good family that are around them, because, it takes a village to raise a child. You're not doing this by yourself. We don't drop a kid off and say, all right, good luck. We're going to be there to support you. But it's also important to have good supports already built into your life.
And I think that also another thing, and I guess I'm just thinking about different stigmas that I've heard over the years, is that even if you have your own children, it's okay to bring a foster child into your home.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of our families who have their own biological children, and they integrate the foster child into their family. That's what, it's all about. It's bringing that kid into your family and having them be a part of your family.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing too, look at me, I'm just like all kinds of, but I think about when people look at fostering or adoption in general, they always want the little babies. They're like, oh, I want a little baby, because of course you want a baby to raise, but a lot of the foster children now are adults. When I don't say adults, but I say teenagers or young adults that really are in need of love, and especially because they don't have someone to show them the way, and they really need that. Do y'all see that a lot? Like that's kind of your biggest set of people that you have for UMFS, right?
It is. Yeah. Most of our kids, we purposely try to place kids and serve kids who are, 8 to 18 or 8 to 17. And kids can stay in care with supports until they're 21, because none of us, or at least I know for me, at 18, I was not ready to go and take care of myself in any way, shape, or form. At 42, you probably would still ask me some days. But no, there are a lot of older kids who are just sitting in systems and waiting, sitting in group homes or sitting in temporary homes, just waiting for someone to take that chance with them, to bring them into their family, and helping, families see that it's not so scary. I mean, and there's no diapers, there's no bottles, there's no middle of the night feedings. Right. There's none of that. It's a kid that can talk to you and develop a relationship with you, and you can bring them so much of what they need. One of the assessments we do for kids asks, do you have somewhere to go home for the holidays? And most of the kids, they'll say no, other than their foster parent. So again, just that one person.
I have my cousin, his wife was was in foster care most of her life, I think. And she has different foster mothers that she went through a couple different, but I love how, like, even now, like, we'll be trying to plan like our family Christmas, and she'll be like, well, I have to go to like this foster mom, like this is, I go, and she will, like, they will drive long distances to go back just to be with her foster family. And I love, part of me kind of jealous. I'm like, how many Christmases you got? Like, you got all these different families you get to go to. But, her experiences were very good, because she has all these support systems now in place, and she has, 5 kids of her own. And I think they're actually talking about fostering now that they're, they've had their kids, and they want to keep growing. I mean, more power to you if you need that, many kids. But, I think it's wonderful that she has that support. And I think a lot of people too, when you're growing up and you talk to them like, oh, I was in foster care, they immediately think like, oh, what was wrong. But I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, we've got a couple of families, one in particular, they've been with us the entire time I've been with the agency, but I think I counted one time and it was like 48 to 50 kids that they fostered. And they are still in touch with probably 95% of them. They call, they come back, they drop in just to tell them, hey, here's what I'm doing now. And the thing too is the majority of the experiences are good. TV and the media just can make, foster parents seem just really horrible people, because there are always going to be negative stories, but the majority of experiences are good and kids are good. It's just, all about relationship.
So speaking of relationship, that was a great segue into what I was getting ready to ask you. I think for me, the hardest part for being a foster parent would be getting attached to the child, and then, them going back to the birth parent, or, deciding that they don't want to be like they age out and they just decide, hey, what do you say to people that have that same issue?
Yeah, I hear that a lot as a foster parent recruiter. People say, oh, what if I get too attached? Like, I wouldn't be able to say goodbye. And I always say, like, get too attached. That's exactly what we want. If you're thinking you're going to get too attached, you're probably the right fit for us, because relationship and that attachment is what's going to be really healing for a child or a teen who has gone through a lot of traumatic experiences. And it's really cool for me to, like, learn about the brain and how trauma impacts that. But relationship is what's healing, and having someone who's consistently there for you and showing up and creating this bond with you is what's going to create lasting change, and which is why a lot of the kids still stay in touch with our foster parents, because they've formed that relationship and that's made a lasting impact in their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so yeah, that would definitely be me. I'd be like, no, don't leave me. I want to keep you. Now so like for a foster parent, let's say, I know y'all try and match up the kids that you put into a foster home, but let's say another reason someone's out there and they're hesitant is, what if you match them up but it still isn't the best match? How does that work if they decide that it's not really a great fit?
Well, we'll do everything we can to make it a great fit. So we look at, one of our values is relentlessly pursue solutions. So we will do everything we can to resolve any challenges, because there will be challenges. Nobody comes and moves into your home without some growing pains. But, if it's, we support, we're out there weekly, we're out there more, there's on call. And then if it truly is not a good clinical match, then we look at that and we'll make adjustments as needed. But we do a lot to try to, with our intake process, match families with kids and do interviews and trial placements and things to make sure that everybody is good moving forward. And that meaning the parent and the child. We give the kids some say in this too, like, hey, I feel good here, or I don't feel good here, or this feels okay, or I'm not sure about this, before we move forward.
Okay. So, heading back to, all right, let's say you're ready to go. You're ready to sign up. Y'all offer classes. How long do those classes normally take? Like, what is the kind of time frame between someone calling and saying, hey, I'd like to become a foster parent, to actually receiving their first foster child?
Yeah, so we say the process takes about 3 to 6 months, just depending on how fast people are moving through. Right now, we've transitioned back to some in-person training, so that looks like the first 2 Saturdays of the month we'll do training in person in our Farmville office, since that's our central location, and then we'll have one night of a virtual in-person, depending on different factors, of just like a 3-hour check-in kind of thing to go over that training.
Okay.
And we will be doing, in-person trainings in Farmville and or in Lynchburg too. So depending on classes. So we've got families in Lynchburg. We will come to Lynchburg to train.
Okay.
We'll
so
come to Bedford to train if we have a space to do it. So.
Okay. So about 3 to 6 months. Okay. I was just in here going like, maybe next week, but no.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So now kind of talking about the holidays coming up, and we're working with you guys on the Giving Tree. What are some things for anyone listening that's like, okay, I'd like to make a donation. I'd like to give back. What are some of the things that we're looking for right now leading into the holiday season?
Yeah, I always think immediately of like warm, fuzzy blankets, fuzzy socks, anything that's nice and cozy, coloring books, regular books, anything like that, things that older kids might like, and also items that our families can use for kids who are coming into their home. We like a couple weeks ago, we had a placement of a sibling group of 4, and this family didn't have stuff. So if they don't have the things available, we want to be able to support them through this. Like even like bed sheets, anything like that, pillows, blankets, that kind of stuff that our families can use, hygiene items that these kids might not have coming into their homes.
Okay. And you were saying a lot of them are older, like young adults. So you're kind of looking in that age range too. So like the adult coloring books and coffee mugs or cups or fun things that they can just, now are these things that they open, or so it's kind of a different, like it's, you give some for them to open on Christmas so they have things, but then also like you were saying, supporting the foster parents.
Yeah, we have a lot of kids. Probably the majority of our kids come in with the clothes on their backs. It's either not safe or not okay, or they just don't have the things to bring with them. I mean, we placed 6 kids a week ago and they came with nothing. So we were finding gift cards and everything we could to send families out to buy pajamas for the first night, or smaller kids' diapers, just anything that they need just to survive for the first week, because it takes a little while for the parents to get the resources to get those things. So even having those things at our disposal to be able to say, hey, they're a size 6, run to Walmart and get, what you can.
That's one thing I do. And, I know I'm all about shopping local, but I will say on Black Friday, that is probably a fabulous time for someone that wants to do a donation. Go out and hit those like $3 blankets, or the $5 pajama sets that you can get, the $3 packs of socks. Those are the sorts of things that even if you run out and just grab a bunch of those, that could be used for a donation. And you can drop any of that by our office. Our location is 14805 Forest Road, Suite 107. And so you can bring those to us, because we're going to be giving them these items around December the 9th. And if you're a local business and you're listening in, I've mentioned a couple of times, if you want to donate gift certificates, want to go out and grab, $10 gift certificates from a local, place to eat, or a local business that we can, divvy those cards up for shopping. You can bring those by as well. And not only then are you supporting a local business, and you're also supporting United Methodist Family Services. We'll take those too. But just small things. I think we had talked about most of the things we want to be new. But is there anything like, can they bring books maybe, or books, something that if they're used and they're
maybe some books. We try to focus on new, just because kids already kind of feel like they're left over or not wanted. So then when they get something used, it can kind of feel like that's continuing. But anything new, but certainly used things that are in extremely good condition can be utilized.
Okay. And I think too, if they wanted to bring by even a monetary donation, we will put that into the fund, that we give them. They can go out and buy their own gift cards, because you guys know what y'all need. And maybe some people are thinking, well, I'd rather just do that. I'm sure you guys would accept monetary as well.
Yes, sure. And it would be used locally. It would be used for the kids coming into our program in this area to to purchase the things that they need, because it's often 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night or 3 in the morning just to get what we need.
Now, do y'all ever have a need for volunteers for things? How does that work? Do you do like events or just stuff that you need people to come in and help out with?
Yeah, I think I need the biggest help is just like raising awareness, helping, put up flyers if you have connections of people who can help spread the word. Because I think a lot of people just don't know that there is such a big need for foster parents in this area. We're really looking for people who are willing to open their hearts and their homes for these kids that are coming into our program. So if you have people who are interested in advocating or, want to join for some events with me, you can go to our website at umfs.org, and there's a volunteer button. Click on that, fill out the form, and we'll get you connected.
Yeah.
I always like to talk about volunteers because I know even like with us, because we're a nonprofit, but we do a bunch of these different events around town, and I'm always scrambling for like volunteers. I'm like, I need people to help me. I'm just one person here, and
Katie,
it's
one
different.
person.
It really is. And I don't think most people realize like most of these organizations are not largely staffed. People look at the CVABC and what we do. We run Christmas parades, we do Centerfest, we do all this stuff. You would probably think I have a pretty big staff, but no, it's me and my director of events. And, we were lucky this year. We're now got a part-time person, but other than that, we stretch ourselves thin. And I know that you guys are probably doing the same. So people out there, if you can just an hour, 2 hours, and it's not always the glamorous jobs, you might have to hang out next to the barricades at the Centerfest or hang out with them. But, just 2 hours of your time means so much to people.
Definitely.
So I
It's
always
really,
like to push volunteers.
Yeah, it's a little trickier for us to have volunteers to come in and work with kids and things like that, but just helping us cast our net. Katie is one person trying to serve an entire region to get more homes, and the more people that can help us do that, if you're directly connected to helping us identify a home, you are directly connected to identifying a home for a child.
Wonderful. Now, is there anything, I know you were talking, I want to mention this too, the area you serve. I know a lot of people said you heard, Farmville is where y'all do some of your training, but you serve a pretty large area. What, if for those that are listening, what are the areas that you do serve?
Yeah, so we are the Southwest region. So we serve, we have an office that served in this region in South Hill, so all the way down in almost North Carolina, Lynchburg, and Farmville, and all of the area in between out to Roanoke. If it wasn't for the North Carolina line, we would keep going from there. And then agency-wide, we also have, total 9 locations across the states in Northern Virginia, Tidewater, Richmond, Fredericksburg.
And if there is someone who is listening, what is the best way for them to reach you guys if they decide, hey, I want to find out more. I'd like to take a class. I want to make a donation. All the good things, if you're out there listening, those are the things you need to do. How do they get a hold of you?
I think the best way to get hold of us, go to our website, umfs.org. There's a button, click foster, and you can sign up for our info sessions. I host those weekly. It's a non-committal time where we just have a conversation, ask me all your questions about becoming foster parents. I get to share a lot more about what the process looks like, about UMFS, our core values, the children that we're serving, and it's a great way to start the process. And then we'll move through the application and get you going there.
Okay. So yeah, if you're out there and you want to learn more, definitely go to their website, check that out, and get involved with Katie and, find out what the next steps are and whether it's going to be a good fit for what you're doing. And, and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons too. And I know we talked about that, but and I'll bring this up because, I always see a lot of people that go, oh, they're just fostering because they want money. Like they're just getting all the money for the foster kids, but that's not the case. And I can tell you that even from where I was back years ago, they're definitely not doing it for the income. A lot of the people that I met, they truly do have a love for helping and serving. But that should be why you're doing it. So
the income we pretty much consider as a reimbursement. It's really, it's definitely not an income, but it is a reimbursement so that you can support the child that's in your home well without it being a hardship on you.
Right, which is why most people, you were just saying, like when people think, I'm a single parent, or that is something that helps them be able to do it, so that's why they can do it. Yes. But it's not the reason that they are doing it.
No,
so
not at all.
Thank you guys so much for
you.
coming on with me today, and I hope that for those out there listening, I hope in some way, shape, or form this show has touched you today. Whether it is just learning about our young entrepreneurs and how you can help small, and I mean small business, and those out there that have a heart for growing and learning. to, helping United Methodist Family Services and hearing about how you can help foster kids in our area and just all the great things, I think the name of your market, the All Good Things Christmas Market, it's all good things. It's so much like, there are good people. And I'll tell this because we have a little bit of time and because, why not? I'll tell this quick story about, you hear about different kindness and things going on in the world. Well, this past week, my daughter and I have a 9-year-old, and we got the rare opportunity to have a mommy-daughter night where we just got to go out together. We didn't have the older siblings, we didn't have, my husband had to go do some stuff. So I asked her where she wanted to go eat, and she wanted to go out to the pizza pub out in Bridgewater. And I said, okay, let's go. And, at this time of year out there, it's kind of slow. Most, because it's slowed down from the season of people being out on the lake. Well, we got there and it was just us. And three men were sitting at the bar, apparently had just gotten off from work, and they were eating and talking with the waiter, and we didn't pay him any mind. We were over there eating our pizza in our booth, and they had the Santa Claus playing, and I let her watch it regardless of my Christmas, views right now, but we were watching the Santa Claus and, eating our pizza, and we had, ordered 2 pizzas, and because we were going to take some home to, the husband, and she wanted some cheese sticks. And so anyway, long story short, we got to the end of it, and the waiter brought us our box, and he said, well, your meal's been paid for by the 3 men at the bar. And I was like, you are kidding me. So first of all, that has never happened to me. You hear about it. And I'm like, that has never happened before. And so I was like, well, you have to charge me for something because I need to leave you a tip because I didn't have any cash. And he was like, no, they paid my tip too. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And they were like, no. So they had left about 15 minutes before we did because he had told me they wanted to make sure they were gone before he came and told us. And so we left, and my daughter said, well, let's go to the arcade. She wanted to go down to the arcade. And I was like, well, I have money now to take you down to the arcade. So we went down to the arcade, and we walked in, and again, we were like the only 2 people in there until I realized those same 3 men were in the back of the arcade playing air hockey. And so I was like, okay, this is awkward. Do I thank them? Like, what do I do? And so I had already bought her little play card, and she was running around playing, and she finished up, and we were at the little ticket booth getting ready to cash out her tickets. She had about 600 tickets. Next thing I know, and I'm here to tell you, for about 10 minutes this went on, these men were winning tickets out of like the ticket where you can pick up the rolls of tickets that have amounts on it, and they just kept rolling them across the floor to her. They would roll them, they would toss them, they would walk behind and be like, get the tickets real quick. And they were just, I don't even know how much money they spent, how much time it took them. Like, within 10 minutes, and like every time I think we were getting down to 0, more tickets would show up. I'd be like, okay, this is awesome, but like I'm really tired, I want to go home. But just to hear her laughing and giggling with these guys that were they were having a blast rolling, like they'd be like, runaway tickets, and tickets would like run across the floor, and she's like running and chasing them. So when we got done, I said, you need to go and thank each one of them individually. And so, and these guys were probably in their 40s. They weren't, older or young. They were, middle age. And, she did. She went and said, thank you. And like the first guy was like, oh no, he's like, this made my day just to hear you laugh and have fun. And he was like, that's what we wanted to do. And apparently they do this often. These 3 men, they go, I don't know who they are, but, my son was like, maybe they're the 3 wise men. I said, maybe they were. I don't know who they were, but from the bottom of my heart, and I put this out on Facebook. It was so nice. I have never experienced anything, but it just showed me that there is still good, there is still kindness, and you see a lot of the bad. You were talking about media, social media, television. I think people are constantly bombarded with the bad, that they don't see the good. And there's so much good still going on in our world. And it starts from our young folks. So, they're learning from us. And I think the more that we show them, these 3 men just doing that, my daughter was just like, this was so awesome. Those guys were fabulous. But it showed her, it showed her compassion and giving. And it taught her more than, anything. So if you guys are listening, which you're probably not, but, you could be. That's a huge thank you. And if you're listening and you think to yourself, it doesn't hurt sometimes to just help, just give. If you've got it, do it. So that's, again, I'm on my little high horse, but I wanted to say that little story because, right here at Christmas time, you hear stuff like that. And it's, it's never happened to me before. So at first I really didn't even know how to take it. Like, I was like, how do I thank these guys? This is weird and awkward. But, I did. It was fun. So, yeah. So Woody, when you're at Disney next week, share the love.
Don't worry. Yes.
All the
I
Disney.
will. Don't you worry.
I can see you walking around Disney, just throwing stuff at people. So
yeah, like a $50 souvenir. Like,
here you go. Take this
Take a little
$50
kid.
souvenir.
Now, speaking of that, it was funny because I used to be talented. I've since retired from this, from like the claw machines, right?
Oh, yeah.
In like Walmart, and they had this gaming area. And I was just on a hot streak one year. I can't explain it. I don't know what it was. Every time I put in 50 cents, I'd come up with a stuffed animal. So it was like, I don't know, 20 minutes. Like all of a sudden I look down and we've got like I've got like 10 stuffed animals that my wife and I are just holding on to, like just look weird, right? But and then I walked away and this kid ran up to the machine and tried to play, and I kind of went over to another machine and they didn't win, and I was just like, listen, like we walked back, gave the kid the little stuffed animals, and you would have thought that it was just like Christmas for that kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the little things that like sometimes we don't think about. They really do go a long way. Like, it's just like, oh, that kid didn't win anything. All right, give him my 10 stuffed
I was
animals.
about to say,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Did you need 10?
No, Lord, no. And then we ended up going around and kind of just picking kids that hadn't, they weren't winning, and just here, you want this one, and it made your whole day. So the satisfaction of giving it was more than winning it. So
Yep. And that brings me back to the person like we had on the show last week, Chris Morris. So he started a random acts of Christmas that he's doing right now. And he has people donating money to him, and he's just buying gift certificates. So like he could be walking around Walmart and just handing them out to people. Or he talked about one day just being at Joe Bean's, which he hasn't told me what day that's going to be yet. I need to be there.
he waits for you to leave the parking lot.
He does. He's probably waiting. He's like, there went Heather. But just handing out a gift card for coffee. But I'm seeing more and more of it, and maybe it's because people have been stuck inside. Maybe it's just, I don't know what it is, but turn off your TV, get off social media, quit watching the stuff that's bringing you down, and uplift yourself and surround yourself with the good in our area. And, with that, I'm going to say, everyone, have a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for listening to Talk Local to Me. Our show next week, because Woody's going to Disney, will be a repeat. Don't know who it's going to be. He's going to surprise you guys, but listen in. Thanks.